bright background. What's going on with that? Quite know what to do with that. All right, let's get after it. It is a SoCal Saturday edition of the Happy Hour, hanging out with AMWAGER and our guy, Barry Spears, of course, here on the Happy Hour ahead of multiple graded stakes at Santa Anita Park tomorrow. Barry, how are you, my friend? Welcome back in.
Thanks for having me back. And everything's good, man. Ready for the weekend. A lot of nice racing all over the country, including at Santa Anita. So ready to get some of this cash in my pocket, you know?
There you go. I always find myself, and I always laugh because, I'm a lucky guy. I get to cover the Derby around here, and Horseshoe Indianapolis always jumps in with us during Derby week, and people are always like, why are they advertising? I'm like, because people aren't just playing Churchill. They got to fill the time between the, what is it, 7 hours between races up here on Derby Day, something like that. So they got to fill it with something else. So that's the kind of thing on Saturday too, is everyone, they're only going to be watching Gulfstream. No, they're not. No. And if you have a big score at Gulfstream, go parlay it over at Santa Anita Park. And again, our SoCal Saturdays presented by your friends at AMWAGER, amwager.com. Check them out right now. 100% deposit match up to $150 for new clients there. You get the AMWAGER Edge platform for horse players, by horse players. Go check them out, amwager.com. Just go check out the site. The platform itself is beautiful. It is its own thing. Barry and I'll be in New York City for this show next week ahead of the Wood Memorial, so that'll be a lot of fun, but do want to thank our friends at AMWAGER. We'll make sure we keep up our good work there. And, of course, next week will be a Santa Anita preview show. We'll have a special guest as well as part of that show. Really, really excited to get that going for all of you who hang out with this version of the Happy Hour. Let's get into it, though, Barry. Race 1. Out at Santa Anita on Saturday. Get my banners together. There we go. Race 1 on Saturday is a maiden special weight, going a mile and an eighth on the turf course. What a great race. I thought this was Barry, just a really great race to kick off this card. Nice field of 8 in this one as well. And I know on these turf races, you're always looking for a little bit of a price, but I have a feeling, hey, look, nothing wrong with Browski in this spot as your top pick. Unmute yourself, Bear. Unmute yourself. You can do it. Unmute yourself.
I love the name among other things. I know. I'm so
you call everybody bro or brother. That's right. Yeah, that's what Barry does. You are muted again, my friend. What a start to this one, huh? Oh man, is it on my unmute? There we go. Now try, Barry. There you go. Oh no. One more click. You got Broski on top. I'll let you work on your mic. I'm going to go to the 6 here on top in Mythical Real, only 5-2, but this is an Antonio Fresu mount for Phil D'Amato. You're going to hear that name from me a lot today. I think Phil's set up for a really, really big day tomorrow. This is a horse that broke okay last time and then came out after the start and really got himself in a bad spot. I think he's going to be considerably closer to the pace here. Almost picked off the race anyway under Flavien Prat last out. Keeps the Lasix, keeps everything, throws the blinkers on. I think will start a little bit better. And so I think the 6 in Mythical Real on top for me makes a lot of sense in the spot. Unrivaled Heroes in here was really good in a maiden 80 last time, and a maiden 80 in California is not something you're going to get claimed in. It's like a maiden 200 at Oaklawn Park, just not going to happen. And so that was a high level race. Hector Berrios picks up the mount here from Mark Glatt. The two of them won their last race together. Should be interesting moving forward to see if they keep it going. I thought the 5 horse was interesting in here as well. In Rowan August, second time starter. I get Armando Ayuso aboard here as well, which I really like. A son of Authentic here. Throwing the blinkers on, only the second race ever, maidens with second starts with Richard Mandela, to win 1 out of every 8 races as well. And so, Barry, where did you land in this race, in race 1 at Santa Anita on Saturday? I cannot hear you, Barry. All right. So why don't you, I'm going to kick you out. And then I need you to go ahead and just log back in here, Barry. Go ahead and try to re-up yourself in here. But interesting interesting race to start the car on Saturday there at Santa Anita Park with race 1 there. Barry, by the way, does have Broski on top, the number 1 horse here. Comes off of a career high speed figure last out of 73, trying the mile. This will be the second time trying the mile, and a move to Umberto Rispoli as well. I think it makes a lot of sense to try to ride this one. And the aforementioned Phil D'Amato, the two of them winning 1 out of every 5 races together at 20%. Really, really good percentage as well. I think Broski makes a lot of sense in here as well. Race 2 on the card at Santa Anita on Saturday. And then let's see if we can get Barry on stage and hear from Barry here. Go ahead and talk for me, my friend.
Hello. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
there we go. Hey, you do. Hey, I was just
All right.
saying
Yeah.
you got Broski on top. We'll move into the second. We will move into the second race here at Santa Anita. It's a maiden 56 furlongs on the dirt there for Calbreds as well. The fillies in on this one at 3 years old. Another nice field here of 9 here, Barry. I'll let you go first on this one. I know that you think the 8 and bottom dollar first time starters got a real shot here. Oh, poor Barry. Just not working. He's got the 8 bottom dollar on top in this spot here. First time starter for Miguel Ramirez. Not a huge amount of data on Miguel. Did have 70 runners with 12 of them winning last year. So 17% hit rate with his winners last year. Alvarado jumps aboard here. This horse has been working at Pleasanton. But again, a lot of these races are largely set aside for those Northern California runners. And so in this case, there's a bit of Barry just trying something here because look, like I have the 4 on top here in Sexy Blue, but if you told me you didn't trust that horse to get the distance to get to the winning get to the winner circle with those connections, etc., I would totally understand, and I understand why you would take a swing with another group. But we've got a 3-2 favorite here, Barry, in race 2. I imagine you're going to try to beat Tapatia Leah.
Yeah, absolutely. No trust in that horse whatsoever after the last, or the 3 races that this horse has had, especially the last 2, burned up money the last time, just doesn't appeal in this spot. I'm going to go to a first-time starter in the 8 bottom dollar.
Yep.
I'd like the last workout in the steady stream of 5 furlong workouts. This field is kind of awkward. So trying a first-time starter kind of seems like a good fit here. Sexy Blue, who I do like because of the pace advantage, I'm not sure this horse really wants to finish races off. The horse was 20-1 last time. I don't gather that that horse would be alone on the lead if she even gets the lead. I can see a scenario where bottom dollar just goes and gets in front and kind of runs this group off their feet. So that's kind of what I'm hoping with. I think Tapatia Leah is still a good option here to be around the lead and finishing strong. And then I use Sexy Blue for third just to kind of speed and fade type.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I also think like Little Silver Girl on the inside, just being a second time starter, she was kind of up the track last time, but at least she knows what it's like to break from the gate. Did finish ahead of 4 other horses in that one. It wasn't a great race. I'm not going to lie to you on top. And you mentioned Sexy Blue. She did finish second in that race. I just with this one, man, if we can get that kind of value at 10-1, I just with Tapatia Leah, I don't know what we're getting, and which makes me think she's going to win this race for fun and just run away with it. But I simply don't know what we're getting. And once in a while in those kinds of scenarios, I'm like you in this case where it might just be worth it to to try to beat a Tapatia Leah, that kind of thing. And so we'll see though as the races move on here. I do want to thank again our friends at AMWAGER. Check them out, amwager.com. Get in right now for that 100% deposit match up to $150 as well. We also have race 3 to talk about now. How about that? That'd be fun. Get back to the banners, and there's race 3. Clicking across the bottom, this is the San Carlos, and we're going 7 furlongs on the dirt. So 4 and up, 100,000 in the kitty here. We see the return of Fort Bragg, who you may remember from the Florida Derby a couple of years ago, lost that Pat Day Mile on Derby Day in 2023, right behind General Jim in one of the great finishes in Pat Day Mile history. Actually, we see him back in this spot, Barry. And, he was a winner of the Dwyer. This one turn thing seems to be what he's best at. You and I both landed on Fort Bragg in this spot, which is interesting because Pilot Commander, because Juan Hernandez has the mount here, Barry, I think we'll get most of the money, but no step down in my mind to Kazushi Kimura in this spot.
No, Kazushi Kimura is excellent and has been really good off the layoff, as we say.
Right.
But as the body of work for Fort Bragg is just better, more extensive and better.
I agree.
And
Just
and that
classier.
and I think that'll make all the difference between the two of them. It's really splitting hairs, but I'll take Fort Bragg because of the price over Pilot Commander, and then For All Mankind looks like the logical third choice here, and obviously is just a little bit below those two, but there's no surprises in this race at all.
Yeah, For All Mankind did go in the Palos Verdes last time behind Roland Big Joe, who has won multiple races in a row here. Look no worse for not having Lasix, but I think that's the real issue here for Pilot Commander. All of his best runs have been with Lasix, and obviously with the grade 3 and the HISA rules and all that. Can't run with the Lasix here. So we've seen Fort Bragg do exactly that, and frankly, he's been good without Lasix before. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't really trust either of the two favorites here out of the Baffert barn, but it seems to be this does seem to be the kind of race that he would just pick off. So, but For All Mankind could be the one that really does upset the apple cart here. I don't know what to do in case anybody wants to ask with Vlahos here. I don't think that horse in a 5-horse field should be 12-1. I don't think that at all. He was really good in the Clocker's Corner, but that was over a wet, fast track. And so I don't know that we're going to get that same kind of performance out of him. It was also at a minute 10. And if you're going to win a 7-furlong race at Santa Anita, you got to be in the 108s and the 109s. You just do. So I don't know that he's fast enough to get it either. But I'll go Fort Bragg on top, Pilot Commander in the second spot there in the San Carlos, excuse me. And then race 4 is, by the way, I should get San Carlos right because that's my oldest son's name, Charles.
Oh,
I should get that. I should get that right. I should not screw that up. My kids have names that are very easily translatable into Spanish. Made special in race 4, another one. 4 state breds. We're going a mile on the turf here. This is for maidens, 3, 4, and 5 years old, 118 pounds. For 3-year-olds, 126 for older horses in here as well. You and I both have the 5 in our top 2 here just to gaze. Again, Kazushi Kimura gets the ride here. That horse was right there at the line last time. It's interesting you and I landed here, Barry, because this is a horse that's going to have to stretch out. But we see over and over again these 6-furlong specialists who turn into great milers all of a sudden on the turf course there at Santa Anita. And I expect that to continue here with just a graze. But on top, you've got the 3-horse here. What do you like about Fight Back? Why can I not hear you, Barry? There we go. Little trouble with Barry again there, but he is on Fight Back as his top pick here. He did try the mile the last 2 times out and has really struggled with it. But Simon Callahan on the turf and on these kinds of races hits it about 10% with that. Hector Barrios gets the mount here. And if you wanted to look ahead and hope that this horse was going to get back on track, this might be the spot for this son of Mrazek. Barry, go ahead and talk. See if I can hear you this time. Oh, not so much. Okay, no luck there for Barry there and in this race. He landed on the 1 in the 3rd spot. I have the 9 in the 2 spot here, going nowhere. This is the Orontes Ellis combination. That's 3 for their last 10 at Santa Anita Park. This horse was really good last out with Orontes in the saddle there. Gets to keep that 121 carrying weight despite being 4 years old. A son of Ohm here, gelded son of Ohm in this spot. Almost won 2 back at 6.5 in the wet fast that they had there on January 26th out at Santa Anita Park, but came back, looked really good last time out, trying the turf for the first time, going into 4th place, but was really part of doing all the work with King of Clubs and Anand in that race. And Anand, of course, comes in as your favorite, the 2-horse here at 5-2. Giovanni Franco gets the mount here. I'm playing against just because of the Giovanni Franco 5 for 85 during this meet. Just does not seem to be up to the caliber of these other jocks. And so if I have to get 5-2 on a guy who's winning at 6%, I'm going to pass. I'm going to try somewhere else in that spot. And so that is where I landed in a race 4. Closing out the early pick 5 is race 5. And race 5 on the card here is a mile race on the dirt. It's for nickel claimers for $5,000 and $16,000 in the kitty. This is one of the Northern California races here. And Barry, I'll let you go first if we can hear from you here. But you and I both have. I think there we go. All right, the 4 of the 1 are in our handicapping, but you have the 3 on top here in Union Wave. Solid price at 5-1.
Yeah, Union Wave looks pretty good in this spot. Happy Does is a horse that I want to like, but it just seems like this horse is going to be up against it in this spot. There's other horses that kind of have better speed and better positional speed than that horse, and I just feel like that horse A is going to be overbet, and B won't be in
Mm,
position to really do too much.
got
Um,
it.
I think on talent alone, this horse is just kind of be around, and I have him for second, but I do have the three on top, Union Wave. His back races back at Golden Gate were pretty good, and he's been facing open company, and then getting into these restricted races
Yeah.
uh, is certainly a step down, and he fits very well. Could be on the lead, could be stalking the pace. I didn't find there was a whole lot of pace in here. So this horse should be close up, right there, ready to go. 5-1 seems to be the perfect price.
Yeah, 5-1 is a nice price in this field. I agree with you. I did land on the 4 on top. I think dropping from that optional claimer kind of level where the horse has been running and hitting the board at least has already run 4 times this year. We love these kinds of horses, Barry. 5th race already. We're still in March. We love that kind of stuff. And this is a horse that gets an honest effort every time, right? Runs, hits the board every time, and happy does. Under Castellanos. I thought the one here was interesting too, brother O'Brien. If we take that last effort out at Santa Anita and get back to this kind of claiming 8 kind of level where this horse has won previously at Pleasanton, I think we'll see a lot more. I'm really hoping with that one, Barry, it wasn't the surface. Obviously, we're hoping that's not a Santa Anita thing, but rather just a one-off kind of performance there. But Brother O'Brien, an interesting one to me as well. Then I thought the 10 for a little bit of value as far as maybe an exacta play with right-hand rider on the outside. I don't love that with the layout of that 2-turn 1 mile course at Santa Anita being on the outside there. But this horse last time in this company finished second from the 8 hole. So this is a horse that was able to overcome an outside post. And they tried this horse at 6 furlongs in an optional claimer. When you get to that starter allowance kind of level, just wasn't ready. Gets back down to this level at the nickel level where it's been very effective before. I don't think he wins, but 6 second place finishes in 12 runs last year. So use that 10 as part of your exactas in race 5 as well. We'll move on to race 6. This is the start of the late pick 5 with our friends at AMWAGER and AMWAGER.com. They've got the deposit match right now for all new customers. 100% match up to $150. We go to the turf shoot, not the downhill turf, and run 6.5 furlongs. So we're using all of it here. Optional claimer here, $32,000 is the claiming price, $40,000 is the purse. This is for fillies and mares 4 and up. Which lots of different conditions, but essentially non-3 lifers. We got Happy in here, who is a 3-time winner, Barry, in the 2 hole here. But I went 3 on top. You've got a long shot here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna take the 9 horse, Lamborghini. I really felt, I've watched this horse run pretty much every race this horse has ever run. Um, and I believe that this horse is probably a better sprinter than a
Mm.
miler.
Mhm.
And the cutback makes a whole lot of sense. You see the horse 2 back or 3 back run really good on the flat 6 furlong turf. And I think that also makes all the difference. This horse isn't really meant to run down the hill, and you can see that in the past performances. The last 2 efforts weren't bad, just not what this horse likes. I think getting back to the flat 6.5 and then the class relief is going to
Mm.
make all the difference and put this horse in the winner's circle.
An interesting one. I landed on something a lot more conventional, unfortunately, in the 3 horse here in Lady Gregory. But this is a horse, Barry. I kind of just like when I get to this kind of level, when we're in the middle, the middle claiming ranks or the optional claimer kind of ranks. I just want winners. And this horse has 10 lifetime wins, has won at Santa Anita before, 82 speed figure last out doing exactly this over this course. Has been in the top 3 all but 1 run in her last 8 races here. I know I'm going to get an honest run here. Seems to work really well with Hector Barrios. So I think the 3 makes a lot of sense here on top. The 2 horse and Happy I mentioned is also 3 for 4 lifetime. And I don't think as fast as some of the others, but we found a new dimension with her running this race last time. So she was in for 30 last time. She's in for 32 this time. $100,000 purchase, a daughter of Quality Road. So this is a well-bred horse in this case. Drosselmeyer on the damn side. That's a name you probably haven't heard in a while. But it's with a horse like Happy, this wouldn't be such a stunning thing. And I think you'll get every bit of 5-1, maybe even 6-1 on that horse. And Barry, am I crazy for liking Corporal Violet on the inside to at least hit the board? Look at this horse's recent form once they move this horse into more turf races and on top of that, into more of this level. Last out wins a claimer at the 25 level. Before that, finishes second at the 25 level. That race was sprinting. The race before that she won was at the mile. So we're going 6.5 here over the flat. 30-1 is an absurd price on that horse. I think she's going to be part of the equation at the end. And that's why she stood out to me, Barry, is just the value. I think if you can get that horse second or third in your bets, you can make significant money.
Well, you get your price for sure. I think part of the reason is because of the running style. She's not going to be able to get to the lead here, so she's going to have to work out a different kind of trip, more like what she did last June. And
Right.
that's not a bad thing because there is a lot of speed in here, and that's why I kind of gravitated away from horses like Happy, because there is some speed in here that can kind of
Okay.
get in the way. Uh, Namely the 7 Unwritten Code and the 8 Champagne Cami. And it kind of sets the table for a horse that's stalking, because even Ivory Moon wants to be forwardly placed quite a bit. So Lamborghini and horses like that seem like they'll fare well in this race. Even Lady Gregory has that sort of thing. So there's probably going to be a line of like 3 to 4 horses trying to get the same trip.
Mm-hmm.
The
I
one
agree.
might actually fall into a better trip just by being in the one hole. I can definitely see how that horse could round out a triple or superfecta easily.
Yeah. Ironically, a daughter of Star Spangled Banner, who's an Australian bred. One of my favorite
Mm.
random name things. Not an American horse. The old Star Spangled Banner. Race 7 is the start of the late pick four. It's a $16,000 claimer with a $25,000 purse. We're going a mile on the dirt course here. And Barry, I'll go first on this one because I went very short on this one. I really think there are only 2 horses to play. On the outside is Bow Tie Boys. Why that's difficult for me to say, I'll never know. But a set of Frosted on the outside, in for the tag here. Was in last time in a $16,000 race, ran a really good second. Last out at this level for non-2 lifers. Tried non-3 before that, was just not ready for the non-3 level. Does have to carry 126 pounds here, which is a little bit more than he's ever carried. But I think that horse is set up in a really serious way to be really, really effective. And then I went to the 5, the second favorite here. I hate to be boring, but this one ran in the same race and was right there, right behind under Antonio Fresu. I just couldn't find anyone else that I was in love with here, Barry. Everyone else seems to be running kind of meh or worse kind of races. And so I just landed on those 2 in the spot. Do you got any more value than I do? Because can't have any less than I just pointed out.
I think so. I mean, these are the kind of races that would yield a big price, where everybody's kind of jumbled. They all look sort of the same. I mean, you see this a lot, or even around the country at different tracks, where these non-winners of 2, non-winners of 3, condition claimers, you get a lot of surprises. I ended up on number 2, Big Bet. I think those November races, the November 3rd race and the November 23rd race,
Yep.
both would win this one.
Okay.
And the horse kind of tailed off in December. They brought him back on February 23rd. He didn't run a bad race at a higher level. The class drop makes a lot of sense, and the trip should be okay. This horse is going to be forwardly placed and kind of have the run of the race. It's a matter of whether this horse wants to go that far. You know, it's tough because this horse does tend to quit a little bit late. You know, and that's just the problem with these types of horses or horses
Right.
in this level. They have trouble finishing races off. So you gotta take a shot somewhere. Somebody has to win. So I'm gonna try the 2.
Yeah, fair enough. Race 8 is the other feature of the day. This is also my featured article at thesportingtribune.com. Barry, you will love this. I think you'll love
Uh-oh.
this. So I've been hanging out with the Sporting Tribune for about a year, and I've never asked them for anything. I've literally just said, hey, let's do the thing. We got our contract together, whatever, that kind of stuff. We got our agreement, but I've never asked them for extra tags or extra things. They have a horse racing tab on the website now. And so
All right.
I can't think
That's
of,
what's
I
up.
know, that's exactly. So just scroll to the bottom on the right. We feature all the stuff. So like USC and UCLA and the Vegas Golden Knights and all that stuff. Horse racing's right there with all of those. So I'm really, really proud of the work we're doing out there at the Sporting Tribune, including this show, which is on the Sporting Tribune's YouTube page every single Saturday as well. Really appreciate, Grant and Arash and all the guys out there. I'll be on with them next week on the Sporting Tribune's evening feed ahead of the Santa Anita Derby 2 to give you a preview of that one. Should be a spectacular 3 races next Saturday. I cannot wait. But the grade 3 Wilshire is race 8 here on Saturday at Santa Anita Park. This is a mile turf race here, and I think one that is absolutely spectacular to try to figure out mostly because I'm against the 7-5 favorite. So there you go. But this is a mile for fillies and mares on the turf here for 4 and up 100,000 indicated here 7-5 on Tirapati, who was very good in the Buena Vista last time out, Barry. But to me, that's more of the exception than the rule with Tirapati. So I'm going to try to beat her. Where did you land in the Wilshire?
Yeah, Tirapati just seems too good to be true in this spot. I get that the horse ran a really good race last time, and it might be overinflated as far as the buyer speed figure in the racing form, but it was a solid race. But you have to think that, like the number indicates, that's the best this horse has ever ridden, run. So naturally, I would think either the horse is going to pair up that number or regress slightly. I'm going to, obviously the gamble is I'm going to bet against this horse pairing up and just slightly regressing. And that leaves Alpha Bella with the run the race. I like the fact that this horse is getting back to the turf, what she was doing early on and was really good at. She kind of tightened up and ran against some really good company on the dirt, but she was really a turf horse and a turf speed horse going long. And it's good to see her back doing that. And I think it's the formula for success here.
Yeah, not to give away my article in the Sporting Tribune, but that's what I wrote about her was just, they do the barn shift away from Todd Pletcher, gets to the Sadler barn, and he immediately says, no, we're going to try the dirt thing with her. And to be fair to John Sadler, this is a daughter of Justify. And so there isn't a clear path necessarily. So many of the Justifies have been very good on the turf. That's clearly what Pletcher saw. But we saw what Justify did on the dirt. We've seen what his progeny have done on the dirt as well. So I wouldn't hate on anyone that thinks that, a horse can be, out of this, Justify thing. And frankly, on
It's
the
running
dam
good.
side, we've got the number one, and number two on the dam side, we've got a lot of turf pedigree as well, right? So Alpha Bella, that part makes sense as well. I've got her second in my handicapping for many of the reasons that you said, but especially getting back to the turf. My question for her, Barry, is a mile on the turf enough time for her? Is it enough distance?
Yeah.
Because her very best runs, La Prevoyante, those kinds of races where she's going a mile and a half, 3 turns over that turf at Gulfstream Park, that kind of stuff. That's where she really seemed to be. Is she a plotter, or can she bring some of that dirt form, that speed that she's had since moving to the Sadler barn? I think that's a real question, but I would definitely include her in any kind of multi-race wager. I thought Uncorked was really set up for this one. Tried that Buena Vista finish behind Tirapati in that one, but I've seen consistent shows from this horse, and frankly, second off the layoff here, I think she's going to be in a much better spot. Ran really well in the Yellow Ribbon last year, the handicap at Del Mar in August. Before that, did win a grade 3 miler in the Royal Heroine at Santa Anita Park. So I'm really going on that race, Barry, back in April. That was first off the bench. This one's going to be second, and second off is an 18% hit for Phil D'Amato, who wins at 17% with Antonio Fresu as well. So I think that's 5-2 is a little short. I'd like to get 3-1 or maybe even 7-2 on that horse, but I think she's going to be absolutely part of the equation there. The one horse is interesting in here with Tirapati because of the last race, but Barry, again, what you talked about, is she going to get better here? And my gut just says she's not going to get better here. Plus, the mile's the max for me because she's a daughter of Mitoli. This is where you got to max out distance-wise, I think, with Mitoli's. And can she win here? Sure. But I'll take Uncorked. Certainly. Oh my gosh. At what, 2 times better odds, something like that. I'll take Uncorked over Tirapati.
Well, here's the thing.
Please.
Here's the thing. You see her race that was kind of, we'll say it's equal to the last.
All right. You're still there, Barry, but I can't hear you when you said the last 5 words. All right. There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let's just say those 2 races were equal.
Right.
One was in a non-winners of 3, and the other was in a grade 2.
Yep.
You got to think that his horse is challenged. I mean, even the speed figures aren't that great. I'd be really, really shocked if the horse is 7-5.
Right.
But I do think the horse has got money, and it just seems like the other two are just better, and I threw that one out completely. And I'm going to take the two to Tahini for third. I think this horse is
Okay.
going to be forwardly placed and could hang around for a piece at a big price because the others really don't look like they want to run.
Well, and Mike Smith's going to be in Florida, and I have not, and I've asked around. No one knows who's going to ride Tahini, but frankly, for example, I think does
I would
Armando
guess Kimura
Kazushi,
would
right?
ride that horse.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. I think Kazushi's going to get the round here, and this is a horse that's capable of getting the lead, keeping the lead in Tahini. I don't know why they wouldn't just, hey, you don't know this horse, Kazushi, just get the lead and try to rate it out rather than, hey, go ahead and time this race. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And so I think with her, she's an absolute, because of the jockey change, actually, an absolute include, actually. And she's coming off the bench here too. Hasn't run since November. That's a good angle for George Papa Prodromu as well. So I don't, he doesn't win graded stakes, Tahini, but boy, I wouldn't be surprised to see her pick up a check in this one. So I agree with you on that.
exactly.
For sure. Race 9 starts the late double. And of course, a reminder, the late double there is a $5 minimum, but a 15% takeout. Forgot to mention at the top of the eighth race, late pick 3, 15% takeout, $3 minimum. We love these late wagers at Santa Anita Park. And if you are wagering, check out our friends at AMWAGER and AMWAGER.com for that 100% sign up match. For new customers, they'll match your deposit up to $150. Right now, optional claimer in race 9 on the dirt, 6.5 furlongs here for $67,000. This is for 4 and up, essentially for non-2 lifers, Barry. We've got horses in here that have won a lot more than those 2 races, but at lower levels, including a Grubauer who's 5 for 8 lifetime. How about that? Never missed the board in all of his runs. I love horses like that, has won a bunch, and frankly has made the move from Pleasanton to Santa Anita. I got to imagine you and I are both trying to beat this horse here.
Absolutely. There's a ton
Yep.
of speed in this race.
There is.
Kangaroo Court is as fast as anybody. Even though he hasn't been out in a couple of years, he's still going to be fast in this race. You know, there's a lot of speed in here to bother the 4. So I'm going to gravitate away, and I'm going to use a horse that I even picked last time, Tessuto. Got a horrible trip. I mean, an absolutely terrible trip. A horse backed into this horse. He had to go inside,
Yes.
then a wall of like 7 horses
Yeah.
in front of him,
It's so
and
real.
then had to go around wide and just had no shot. I got to give this horse another chance. I liked him last time off of that nice race against Positivity. He just missed. I think he's going to turn the tables. That was just such a terrible trip that
Yep.
any kind of good trip is definitely going to improve this horse. And if he gets a clean trip, I think this horse can win.
So you landed on the 6. I went much longer than that. I landed, I'm just kidding, 8-1 instead of 6-1. On Touchdown Brown, which is just a name I like, but also has won 3 straight and has been running in this kind of level, optional claiming, state breds, claimers, etc. But moves into the Librado Barasio barn here. And I just like that I'm getting 8-1 on a horse that's 2 for 2 this year, 2 for 4 last year, has been in the top 2 of 5 of his 7 attempts at Santa Anita Park. The last one was on Firm Go. Before that, by the way, a 5-length win in a $25,000 claimer as well, going this distance. I just look, man, I know it's a little bit of a cutback in distance here, but I think the 6.5 will play fine. Horse won at 6 furlongs back in October at Santa Anita as well at the $20,000 level. This horse as well is able to run late, Barry, or run early. So whatever this race shakes out to be, I think we're going to get an honest run. That'll be kind of my long shot play of the day. I've got kind of a long shot double at the end here with the 5, and then we'll talk about the next race, of course, when we get there. But I've got the 2 in the second spot here in Positivity for Kent DeZormo and George Papa Prodromu. In this case, he ran really well last out in an optional claimer at the $50,000 level. Horse is in for the tag here, the son of Painter, but he's a gelded son. He's 7 years old, very unlikely probably to get picked up in this one. Did win at the optional claiming level 2 back as well. So I think Positivity 4-1 is a gift on that horse. And if you can get it, go ahead and pump that one as well. Who are you going to be using underneath?
Yeah, Positivity is the horse I finished or I picked for second.
Yep.
I think it's just a matter of them flip-flopping that January 31st race.
Right.
That trip, at least for me, for Tessuto was so bad. And then Momad looks like the horse on the
Yep.
rise. I like that effort off the bench, stretching out a little bit, this
I
horse should
totally
be
agree.
right there. I think he's going to be
Yep.
a little bit closer than he was the last time. In fact, he could probably be the surprise in this race more than
Mm.
anybody else. Kind of the new face sort of thing. Uh, but they're all kind of in and around each other. So this should be a good competitive event.
Yeah, you and I leaving Grubauer out of our handicapping here again. Never missed the board in 8 runs, 2 for 2 this year. Both of those in restricted races for Northern California horses. But hey, no hate on that, man. Go get your checks. That's all I'll say about that. 37-2 this year. That'll pay some bills. Race 10 will close the card on Saturday at Santa Anita Park. We're back in the chute, going 6.5 on the turf here, $65,000 on the line for maidens, fillies, and mares. 3, 4, and 5 years old here. A 2-1 favorite in Sunglow on the outside, Barry. I know you and I sure as heck ain't touching no 2-1 in this race.
Nah, not in this race. There's a
I
lot of
know we
horses doing
I
a
know we
lot
would.
of different things.
Yep.
Second time starters. I mean, this is like the proverbial crapshoot at the end of the card. But I narrowed it down to Eastwick, the 2 horse from Mandela.
Nice.
Has
First timer.
a real nice set of works.
Yep.
In, the March works in particular, and that's really kind of what piqued my interest the most, is because the horse seems to be getting faster as they go.
Hmm.
That's always a great sign for a horse that's going to be unveiled. 8-1 seems like a pretty fair price in a race I think is pretty wide open.
I went to another long shot here. I landed on the 10 horse, so I landed way outside on Inner Fury. This is a first time starter in North America. That is something that Phil D'Amato does unbelievably well. So this horse in on the turf, he wins at 24% his last 34 starters with first timers in North America. First time it is Barty wins at 23%. Very similar. He just knows when he gets a horse, Barry, how to place them. I get Juan Hernandez and 6-1. I want to be very clear. There ain't no way I'm getting 6-1 on this horse by the time we get to the gate on Saturday, but I'll take 9-2 real happy. I'll be happy about that. I think this one sets up really, really well, the Irish bred. Obviously ran in the auction series, Phillies last out at Down Royal in Ireland. That is not the best place in Ireland. I'm not going to pretend that was some kind of world-beating performance out of there. I am simply trusting Phil D'Amato in this spot. Horse has been working on the Tapeta, not as well as yours, not as well as Eastwick, by the way. It's worth mentioning, but has been working on the Tapeta there. Landed on her because I think if I can get Phil D'Amato with a first timer in North America at that level, you got to go with it. And by the way, you've got that horse second in your handicapping.
Yeah, it's worth noting that race that Inner Fury was in had 14 horses in it, and the comment really stuck out to me. It said no chance, but the horse finished 4th.
I know.
He had to do some kind of running, right? I mean,
agree. Yes.
honestly,
Yes.
I had the notion that Inner Fury might actually go off favored or close to favored,
Okay.
just for that alone. And it makes a lot of sense. The horse probably can run. I mean, obviously, we don't know for sure. I just didn't want to take a short price, and that's why I put this horse second. But kind of like a co-choice.
Yeah, no, but I like how you're talking about this, and I think this is a conversation we should have right now, which is by the time we get to this race, if you want to put a win bet on this horse, you're literally gambling that other people aren't going to notice what you're knowing. They're going to notice, right? The best way to get value on a horse like this is actually at the end of a sequence. So if we did want to play that late pick 3 for $3, maybe we press on these 2 horses that you and I have just brought up. Maybe you play the 2 and the 10 as your your closers.
Turf pick 3.
Or play the turf pick 3 with these 2 horses. Get them in that kind of sequence where they're down the line. They're not the morning line favorites. And so other people are just pushing on, morning lines to fill out a pick 3 or whatever it might be. Do your handicapping early. We did this the other day at Turfway Park with the Ruby, and we got a 14-1 horse at the end of that sequence that was 6-1 on the morning line. We knew that horse was going to drift up because he's coming out of a maiden win. This is an opportunity to actually catch a horse before it drifts down and ruins the value on your ticket that way.
That's a really good point. Because of the fact that, I've noticed this, it's a trend because of the CAW money that's in the pools. You'll see a lot of the times the win price is very low, but the exotics and the multi-race bets are on par because of the fact that the CAWs pound the win pools a lot, but not neglect, but they don't play the same way in the multis, and you'll get horses that, a stream of 4, let's say 5 to 2 shots that
Yeah.
pays $1,000. So you kind of have to ignore some of that and kind of stick to the morning lines when it comes to those multi-race bets. And you don't want to shy away, because sometimes those horses will be lower prices, but in the
Right.
other pools they'll be a lot higher.
I do have, by the way, I have the 8 ahead of the 1 in my handicapping, Halston Rose, which is
Oh.
a 3-1 horse with Umberto Rispoli. I thought looked really good last time, and it moves to the Baltus barn here, out away from Brian Lynch. I'm not anti Brian Lynch. Be really clear. I just sang his praises on my my morning show here. But this is a horse been working really, really well at San Luis Rey. Is trying the turf for the second time. And Barry, I like that angle too. Horse trying a surface for the second time, getting used to it over an earlier run. I think Halston Rose is interesting here as well. Got to ask you, of course, for Florida Derby and Arkansas Derby takes. Something's happening, Barry, that I think is really interesting, and it's our fault, but it's everyone's fault. Cole Battle's a really
Uh-oh.
good horse, but he was bred for $2,500, and because his trainer is Lonnie Briley, we ain't giving him his due. And that's a really good horse. That's all I'll say. That's what I want.
Oh yeah, he's
He's
nice.
a really good horse. He's like really nice. Yeah,
Really good.
yeah. Cornucopian, how are you handicapping that one going into tomorrow? Runs the 6 furlongs, runs off the page at Oaklawn Park. It's Bob Baffert. We've seen this before. Has to go from 6 furlongs to 9. Would you include him in a ticket? I think I have to.
You kind of have to include him, but it's a real big ask.
It is a big
Taiba,
ask.
I know, did the same thing a couple years ago, but man, being stuck on the outside like that, and this isn't that same kind of field that Taiba beat. Like, he beat Messier in that race, and
Right.
we've seen what Messier has turned out into. He's not even in the Baffert barn anymore, and he's running, kind of lower level stakes in New York. So I don't know. I got to go with a lot of skepticism. I like
Okay.
Sandman to kind of reverse the trend. He got into a lot of trouble in those races at Oaklawn, and he gets a clean trip, he's going to win. I think I just want to see him a lot more in the race earlier,
Right.
and I think that's what Jose Ortiz brings to the table.
There you go. Yeah, I'm interested in Sandman as well. Florida Derby, Sovereignty, and everybody else. Some weird jockey injuries, unfortunately, happening at Gulfstream Park this week between Junior Alvarado, Tyler Gaffalione. I don't love Mike Smith on Matticat Road, except that I do trust Mike Smith to get out front and stay out front. Like, I think it's one of the things he does the best is rating on the front. But man, Sovereignty is so tough, dude. That is just, he's a beast of a horse, man.
He's really nice, but I gotta think that they're not gonna be real mad if this horse finishes in the money and not
Okay.
win.
Okay.
And I would rather see that now than obviously on Derby Day. But I think Matticat Road is going to be under pressure and needs to win. So I think that one and Tappan Street look like the 2 top horses here.
Okay.
And then I'd throw in the 2 Cool Intentions
Hmm.
at a price to kind of round out the exotics there.
I think I'll make you really happy, but I just talked with I just talked with Brian Nadeau, and he's riding with a different local in Jimmy's Dailies.
Oh, wow.
12-1, dude. Yeah, Brian Lynch is the other Lynch, if you will. Just ran in an optional claimer under Irad Ortiz, and he really likes the switch to Joel here, which is interesting. So I like that Brian in a race with Sovereignty is going to go on top with that horse. I like that. So there you go.
He's brave. He's awfully brave.
I'm agreeing with you. It's out of a coma, so maybe they'll get something out of that as well. But this has been another edition of SoCal Saturdays. Good luck with all the Derby preps tomorrow, but of course, much more luck at Santa Anita. Again, we encourage you to check out our friends at AMWAGER and AMWAGER.com, that platform for you, built by horse players for horse players. Go check them out at AMWAGER.com. Get that deposit match today. For Barry, I'm Louie. We will see you next week ahead of the Santa Anita Derby, and we'll be live from NYC. Why not? This has been the SoCal Saturdays presented by AMWAGER and our friends at the Sporting Tribune. Louie Rabaut, Barry Spears. We'll see you next week.